We've already covered some of the basics of printing out information to the terminal, but there's a lot more. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to print out more than one thing in the same line of code. First of all, I'm going to create a variable called age, which is going to store how old I am. This is going to be an integer, age, and of course I am 19 years old. So that's the integer for my age. And now I want to print out the phrase or the sentence, I am age years old. And it will print out whatever I specified in this age variable. So printf, I am age years old. Well, guess what this is going to print out? Alright, I'm going to run the code. GCC printing.c and A. It printed out exactly what I told it to print out. I am age years old. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to print out this age variable. Well, that's an integer, and we know how to print out an integer. We use %i. Instead of having age here, I'm going to tell it to print out %i. But now I have to tell this printf what the integer is that I want to print out. In this case, it's age. So I'm going to print out the age by giving it this age variable. Now, when it sees %i, it's going to take the age variable and it's going to insert it for the %i, just like we did before, but before our example was much simpler. So now, when I compile this and run it, it says I am 19 years old. So %i told the printf function that we were going to be printing out an integer inside of this string, and so we had to specify the integer. And now we can specify more than one thing at the same time. So let's create another variable. Integer your age. Now I don't know how old you are. Let's just offend everyone. I'm going to say you are 65 years old. That sound good? Alright. And I'm going to say I'm %i years old, and you are %i years old. Now I have two %i's, which means this function, printf, is going to need two variables that are integers. So this is the first one, which gets put for the first %i, and the second one gets put for the second %i. So now let me run this. I am 19 years old, and you are 65 years old. Well, if you're watching a C programming tutorial, you're probably not 65 years old, but just an example. So you can print out as many of these as you want, and they don't all have to be the same type. For example, you could print out a floating point number as well. So I could say I am %i years old. I could change that to %f. And then I would have to change this to a double. Double age equals 19.9, because I'm roughly 19.9 years old. And we can run this, and it says I am 19.00000 years old, and you are 65 years old. So we can print out as many of these different variables as we want inside of the same string, and that will work perfectly fine. And here's one more example that will show us how to do this. We're going to need two variables. We're going to need a double variable for pi. Double pi equals, as you know, 3.14. And we're going to have another one for pieces. Integer pieces equals 6. And now we're going to print out something. Printf, the value of pi is, and this is a double, so %f, and I can eat %i pieces of pi. And now we have to give it first the value for pi, which is pi, and then how many pieces I can eat for the integer, which is pieces. And we can print this out. compile, run, value of pi is 3.14, and I can eat 6 pieces of pie. Well, I can probably eat more than 6 pieces of pie, but again, this is still just an example. Okay, so that is how you can print out more than one piece of information within the same string. And one more thing you should note, these commas. For each new piece of information, you have to put a comma after the last one. That way the compiler knows how many pieces of information you're giving it. If you did something like this, it would think, pi pieces? What's a pi piece? And it wouldn't know what to do. So you need to have the commas to separate the different variables or strings or any piece of data that's in a list like this. You need to separate it with a comma. Well, that's it for this tutorial. I'm sure you've learned something in this one. This was a fun one. And in the next tutorial, we'll be learning about variables. We'll learn more about variables and what we can do with them. I'll see you then.